I want to talk a little bit about counseling and why people come into counseling, usually what they're seeking, and some of the thoughts that may be going on in their heads at the time they sit down to actually talk face to face with a counselor. I've heard through the years many people tell me that when they sit down to talk to a counselor, they're hoping for a process that isn't going to be intimidating, and they're wanting to talk with someone who is not going to make them feel ill at ease or stupid about their circumstances. And there are no stupid circumstances, believe me. We all struggle with things of one kind or another. And the fact of being a human being is that struggles will come and that struggles are a part of life. So people need to be able to be received and be able to be understood and heard for where they're at. And what they generally tell me is they're looking for someone that they feel comfortable in talking with and sharing and all of these sorts of things and being vulnerable. I think in the past, counseling was a little bit maybe taboo, and this maybe was some time in the past, but because of education and the media and more people becoming alert to the fact that counseling can benefit for a lot of reasons, people come in if they're having depression or anxiety, and while even if they're seeking medication for themselves, counselors, while they don't prescribe medication, they can at least guide people toward getting those kinds of assistance if they need that. But counselors can do a lot of other things as well. There can be all sorts of relationship issues that people bring in the door, problems with their marriages or their relationships in which they're having difficulties communicating, or whether they're having difficulties trying to understand another person's point of view. Sometimes personality testing can actually open up a lot for an individual and help them understand what their conflicts are about. People come in too because their kids may be acting out or their kids may be having some kind of struggles at school. I can always tell when school is actually in session because I do get more referrals, and it's almost like the school and the parents begin to recognize that maybe what they were able to kind of, separate from a little bit during the summer, now they cannot ignore any longer. So there are more referrals regarding kids. People come in when they are making change in their lives too, whether it's a vocational kind of change or a school-related change, a move across the country, when they're sitting down to kind of look at their options, and they want to be able to discern what's the best choice for me based on some of the difficulties and some of the good things I know that I have at my disposal. People are seeking, professional guidance for a lot of reasons, and there's a lot of other things that people would sit down for and perhaps get some assistance, hopefully in a holistic way, wherein there would be an acknowledgement that we are mind, body, spirit beings, and that there can be a benefit to addressing all of the other areas of who we are. I encourage people to look at their physical health and their spiritual health also, because if we neglect those areas, then we cannot be fully functioning and fully free in our thinking and in our minds. We have to be able to experience health in the other areas as well. So those are just some of the reasons people come in for counseling. You may be an individual who may think, well, that's good. I have good resources and good people to depend on, so I really probably will not use counseling for myself as a means of growth or self-development. But you may recognize that there are people around you who may be having a struggle of one kind or another with a relationship, with a decision that they're about to make, whether they're looking at putting a family member in a nursing home, whether they're feeling guilty about something that happened in their past, whether they're struggling with some kind of painful decision-making process, whatever it may be. If you recognize that you have some people in your life that fit into some of those categories, and maybe it's time to be your brother's keeper. And while it's hard for a friend to give objective advice to another friend, you can always at least give them the consideration that maybe they would benefit from talking to a counselor, someone who could sit down with them or talk with them in some fashion about what their options are, what their strengths are, and what perhaps might be a good plan for their lives. Counselors do not really tell people to do X, Y, or Z. They make suggestions, but a part of what we do is really to unlock the treasure, I think, that is in each human being. There's a lot of things that are buried in each one of us, and those things simply need to be called forth at some point. And so perhaps that's a little bit about what counselors really are about, calling forth a little bit of that buried treasure. I hope this makes sense to you, and I hope that if you do have any questions, you'll give me a call or set out to contact a mental health professional near you. Thanks.